So this is the next version of ramblings about something close to nothing, which is about nothing and really at all, just whatever we decide to talk about. And I'm with Mr. John Kuamo'o, the world's greatest, Hawaii's greatest cinematographer. Anyway, how long have you been doing this?
Over 30 years now. Over 30 years. Started in the 70s. Started in the 70s with 8 millimeter and Super 8 because that's all we had. We didn't have automatic cameras.
Mm-hmm.
We did not have video. I don't think we got into VHS until the 80s, I think.
Right.
So I've been doing film pretty much since the 70s. And then, of course, I stepped up to 16 millimeter. Bell & Howell 16 millimeter cameras with the appropriate Bell & Howell projectors, which is the ones you used to see in schools.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, you're probably old enough to remember that. And then from there, 1985, I got hired for my first feature, in which I was supposed to be a PA. That didn't work out because for some reason the first assistant cameraman didn't make it, so I got his job because I had mentioned that I know how to thread movie projectors.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up as the clapper loader as well, so I would load 35 millimeter motion picture film into the film magazines for the Panavision cameras in a dark box in broad daylight without letting any light leak in there to ruin the negative. And then put it on the camera, threaded, yada, yada, yada. That was my introduction into 35 millimeter. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I've been in the industry ever since. So over 30 years now, yes.
That's quite a long time.
I'm old.
How much of that was here in Hawaii and how much of that was in the mainland?
Practically nothing was here in Hawaii because locally, as far as camera guys are concerned, it's like maybe about a handful of people that had that market sewn up. So I couldn't break in locally, so I had to go to LA. Mm-hmm. And that's where I learned my craft. I went to LA and started working on indies. And LA, sometime in the late 70s, early 80s, I guess some union guy decided that he wanted to up the quality of the indie productions on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. So he started volunteering on productions. The next thing you know, these productions are getting so good that they could get grant monies or sponsorship from corporations to make better quality independent films. Mm-hmm. When they started doing that, this union guy started bringing more of his union friends onto the set. And when guys like me came in the mid 80s, we were lucky because they had already established a really good, solid performing crew up and down the West Coast, of which I was part of. And I was lucky enough to be taught by Hollywood professionals. So the deal was I was supposed to become a Hollywood technician. But because I was doing so well on indie productions that were at scale anyway, I just stayed on the indie side. And I've been on the indie side right up until about 2012. I'm now retired from that. I'm in Hawaii. I'm hoping to do the same thing here, take my knowledge and then improve the level of indie production here. That's why when you contacted me about a month ago and said specifically you wanted to up your productions, I already knew what to do. And you, Anthony, Galen,
Grant.
Especially Grant, you know, about a month ago, it didn't look too good. 1 month later, after just some production meetings and demonstrations, everything has changed night and day, literally night and day. So has your stuff. I just saw your stuff from yesterday. What was the title of that again? I'm sorry.
Oh, just Scene 7.
Scene 7. Well, it was a test from Scene 7 of the Soul Blade, which I'm hoping to be part of.
You will be.
I will be. Great. And then this is shooting next year. I'm doing this for no money as well. But
nobody's getting paid.
Yeah, nobody's getting paid. I'm really...
We're getting paid food.
Oh, and I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Thanks for the food. That doesn't mean I'm going to work on anyone's production. Anyway, I'm only going to be working on certain productions that I feel is actually going to go somewhere. I've been working on several productions right now. Battle of the Minions 3, I'm kind of a consultant on that one. And then what else? The Drop. My friend Jamon Holmes for his film project at HPU, Hawaii Pacific University, where by the way they have a $40,000 Avid editing suite. Nice. I'm glad somebody's using something other than FCP, which is, I have a lot of comments on that as well, FCP.
So you're not going to even give it mention the full name. You just call it FCP.
FCP. Everybody was just fooled into that software. I'm so sorry. Academy of Arts is one of them. They have a complete Macintosh network over there, in fact. But anyway, so the main gist of us me getting together with you and your people is to up the quality, and the quality within 1 month has just gone through the roof. I'm just so happy that you folks are now going on to tripods instead of hand-holding everything as is typical in local indie. My friend Cindy, she's with ACM, the UH Film School. And UH Film School is interesting. Not sure why they call it a film school. It's actually, okay, ACM stands for Academy of Creative Media. That's the University of Hawaii's film school, quote unquote. They have no production classes at all. I found this out because the former president of the student ACM body is a really good friend of mine, super good friend of mine. And she was the one that told me the reason for this is because they have no production classes. Now, if that's the case, then that means they're perpetuating what has been going on here in the islands for decades, which is not really knowing how to shoot a movie. It's a problem. You have any comments on that?
You know, there's a lot of people wanting to do this. But I guess there's no way to learn the craft. Pretty much.
I'd say that. As a matter of fact, that's what Grant and I were discussing just last night, in that everyone wants to shoot John Woo style, you know, just fast cuts, choreography, handheld, Steadicam, jib, all these complex, what I call complex shots. Yeah, so I'd say over 90% of local indies are just not up to that level, which is why I'm so glad I could convince Grant to just stick to what you know and just do the basic shots. Get the basic shots down, which is a very simple master, right? They may be coming closer for a two-shot, and then do reverses. Okay, that's basic. How you shoot, those are really basic shots for shooting any scenes with two people sitting in it. And I think he's embraced it. I know you have, because the stuff you shot yesterday, which was that test for Soul Blade, came out really good. Thanks to also Galen, whom is right now operating the cameras as we sit here and just jab away. But yeah, it's.
But you know, like you're saying though, that you don't need all the fancy shots, because look at all the movies we looked at last weekend. Majority of them were on sticks.
And that's another thing. If local indies could just try to get away from all this handheld stuff and just try putting something on a tripod, you'd see how much more professional it looks. The stuff that you shot yesterday, again, looked way better to me. You know, if you had, you know, more than one tripod, that would have been better. But it's okay. One was on sticks, one was handheld.
So it was a good, you could tell the difference, so you could see the difference.
I could see the difference. Yeah, and the nice thing is that because you shot one on sticks and one handheld, you could see side by side. That was a good side-by-side comparison so that you can look at it and you can show it to Grant or whomever else needs to see it and say, this is the difference. This is why we have to be on sticks. You know, not that the handheld was bad. The handheld was pretty good, but it didn't go with the flow of the scene. The camera mounted on sticks had a better feel for the scene. In other words, not chaotic. The two characters, although you had an antagonist there, it was more important to get the steadier shot. Which reminds me, this is how you know when to put a camera in what equipment, when to put what camera on, I'm sorry, I'm saying that completely wrong, but how do you know which piece of equipment to use for the camera? It's simple. If the shot is not moving, put it on sticks. If the shot needs to move, you've got the options of dolly, Steadicam, or jib, okay, which you have all three. Matter of fact, this huge thing right behind me, which is homemade. Tell me a little bit about this jib.
Well, that one, it is, I think that one is overall it's 12 feet long. And yeah, everything's on bearings, like all the expensive ones are. All the cables run through the body, and this one does a little bit more than most normal ones because there's a cantilever, so you can change the rate that moves.
The tilt rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can make it where it has more or almost nothing at all.
Beauty.
Only thing is I don't have a motorized head. Oh well.
Motorized head would be great. Until we get one, this will be just fine. So we would use this for like moving shots from the ground up or from the top, a very high angle shot going to a low angle shot. You can also use these to pan or track people as they're walking. You know, if you have two people walking, no problem. You can track them like this with the boom, and as they go off, lift. to reveal where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's one piece of equipment. Another piece of equipment is a Steadicam. In this case, we have something called a fly cam. Can you folks see this in the wide shot? Okay, so the fly cam does pretty much what a Steadicam does.
Let me grab it.
Yeah, that might be better.
And my homemade monitor.
Yeah. Oh, this is a homemade modified version. This is a fly cam. It's not an actual Steadicam. It's a knockoff of a Steadicam called a Flycam 6000, I think.
Yep.
And this is an $800 model compared to the $12,000 models that I own and operate. What's the main difference? The main difference is engineering. I can get this relatively smooth when I'm walking around with it. Can't get it perfectly smooth. It's just, again, an engineering problem. We'll be using these in features, Soul Blade. I'm sure we're going to be using this in Soul Blade. Probably in the Sniper one, maybe. But if we do, I'd like to recommend that we use this on a limited basis, only if you really have to move the camera. And getting back to what we were saying, when do you know when to use a jib, when to use a Steadicam, when to use sticks? Again, if you're not going to move the camera, you put it on sticks. If you're going to move the camera, then you consider this, which is the Steadicam, the jib, or the dolly. Okay? We put it on tracks, and we slowly push the dolly. Very simple. That's when we really need to move the camera. And that's pretty much how you know when to put a camera on what piece of equipment.
Right.
That's what I was trying to say earlier. I suck. Let's see, what else?
What's the most misunderstood tool?
Misunderstood tool. Okay, let's talk about. If you could, sir. This is another homemade piece. It's a clapboard. Yeah. Now the thing is, what is a clapperboard for? We call this a slate or a clapperboard. Those are the two industry standard names. What that does is it helps us sync up multiple cameras. Like for this shoot right now we've got one camera here for close-up, another one for wide, okay?
Now, and a side one.
Oh, and a little one over there. Yeah, little one over there. So what we do is, in this kind of a situation, we have a common mark, okay? So this helps us to sync all three cameras, not only visually, all three cameras, but the audio file as well. The audio file is being recorded by yet another separate device. So to get all four devices in sync, all we do is we pull this up and let it go. At the point where this piece meets this one is where on your waveform file you would get the apex of the waveform file for that particular sound at the moment this hits this on your video file, on your video line, I should say. At that point, now all of your audio and video is in sync for all three cameras. All three cameras will be synced with your audio. That's what these things are for. Now, the front is blank. That's because a piece of paper goes over here, I think?
I'm going to paint it white, and I'm having a vinyl die cut for it.
Beauty.
So we can change it later if we want.
Dry erase.
And dry erase.
Okay, great. So another thing this is for is to tell you what scene you're on, what take in that scene you're on. It also has other pertinent information on it, like the camera operator name, the director name. What else? You could put your shutter speeds, apertures on it. I used to put these little, those round sticker dots. Each color would mean a certain aperture, that kind of thing, or whatever. Mainly for me anyway, for depth of field reasons, or when I'm working as a cinematographer, I like to try to find a really good common aperture for most of the scenes, and I pick that aperture. I try to stick with that aperture to get a more better look, continuity look. Yeah, better continuity look from camera to camera, from scene to scene, So I try to pick one aperture and stick with it. If I can't, that's okay, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But all that information can be right on here. Another thing that's on here also is something called sound. You might see something here that says sound. If it says sound, you can fill it with either sync, which means you're recording with a device like this. I don't know if you can see it, but this thing here is recording the audio from what we're doing today, okay? This is called a DR40 Tascam. It's a digital audio recorder. And the reason why we want to use that with this is that when I clap on this, this will hear it. And again, when you get this on the editing software, that's how you sync your image and your audio. So basically, it's going to be sync when you're recording. It's going to be MOS when you're not using that little Tascam. MOS just means you're not recording with the Tascam. But the cameras are recording anyway, because this is digital video. Digital video cameras record. So those can be used as reference sound. MOS is a simple industry term, means motor-only sound. That's another long story. It goes back to the days of Hollywood when you had an entire booth outside of the soundstage with an operator in there actually operating the audio. These days, these little wonderful handheld recorders can do the same job. So MOS, or motor-only sound, that means that it's just not going to be recording any audio, or sync, and the little Tascam device will be recording audio. That's what that sound one would be for. Let's see. That's about it for this.
Okay.
So if you don't have like a second camera operator that really knows how to slate, then these things become useless. Mainly because if you don't know how to read a script or coordinate with the script coordinator, the script girl or whomever it is, and you don't know what scene you're on or what take you're on, then these slates in the hands of an amateur becomes a nightmare for editors, and it increases your post-production time. So it's really important to try to get somebody that knows how to operate one of these, and why you have to put the correct scene number down, why you have to put the correct take number down, okay? All these little things. Locally, what we've been doing, as we did for a lot of indies on the mainline, is whenever we are recording sound, so we're in sync, the camera operator would yell speed when when they call for camera and audio. Then the audio will yell sound speed with the file number, the digital file number, because that's how we record these days. Unlike when I started, we had tape, reel-to-reel decks. I used to carry a reel-to-reel deck here and a mixer here. Hurts your neck after a few hours. And instead of digital file numbers, I'd have to look at the analog counter numbers that are running forward. And you would yell that number into the, I would have a mic, VOG mic for myself, that only I would be able to record directly in. That would be your sync number. But anyway, as far as misunderstood, the clapperboard is one of the most misunderstood and one of the most underutilized locally because no one really knows how to use it. But once you get somebody in here that really knows how to use one of these pieces of equipment, the clapperboard, and they can slate a scene really well, then that decreases your post-production time. Yeah. And again, if you get someone in here that doesn't know how to use one of these slates, it increases your post-production time. Now, when you're doing common slate like this, it's not unusual to have more than one slate. People will be, by each camera, holding this up to the camera so that you can see what it actually says on it. So focus is set for that. Then when they get out of the way, focus is reset for whatever's going on here. Then you have the one big common slate that all cameras can see, and that's how you would sync your audio. Simple enough.
Okay. And then again, like yesterday, we had an issue with the Tascam.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the guy kept hitting pause. And then I have one huge file.
So on the Tascam.
But there was a good thing, though, because we were using this A-brand wireless, and it was useless.
Well,
so I didn't use it anyway. So.
That's funny, because I was just commenting on how a lot of people make that error who are not trained in audio, which is fine, you know, that's how you learn.
Right.
But what Kel was just saying is that when the guy yesterday recorded the file, he started the file, it was recording, but instead of pressing stop in between each take, he pressed pause. So instead of creating a separate file for each take, he created one long file. And now the problem with that is you've got to go through that whole file to find where your audio is for any one take, which is a problem. It increases post-production time. Whereas if you stop the recording after each take, and it's simple, when you hear the director yell, cut, you press stop on the Tascam digital audio recorder. Then it will automatically advance one file. Then when you're ready for the next take, record. And then yell the file number out. This technique, I'm not sure who developed this technique, but I learned it up on the mainland, and it seems to be really quick for the editor for digital video films, you know, shot on 4K or whatever. Or in our case, 1080. We're on 1080.
One day.
One day. But right now, like Kel was saying, he wanted to up the production value, which I think we've already started doing. And to up it even further, we have to get really good at the basics, which is what you started doing yesterday really well, which is just simply put stuff on sticks. You can get very dynamic shots caught, like fight scenes, on sticks. And we were watching movies where everything was just shot on sticks, and all they did was pan to catch the action. If you watch Enter the Dragon, Robert Klaus, the director, used this very effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also with different focal length lenses. And oh, that's another thing too, not understanding focal length.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really easy to understand. All you do for, again, a reverse,
Mm-hmm.
when two people are talking, camera's over here facing me, camera's over here facing you.
Mm-hmm.
For these, you might want to try using a longer focal length, like maybe an 85
Mm-hmm.
millimeter lens.
Soften up the back.
Soften up the back. And how do you soften up the back? Well, it's pretty simple. You try using an 85 or maybe even 100, but try starting with an 85 millimeter lens. When you set your focus for the face, you'll notice that your background's not as sharp. Now, the further away from the background you are, the softer the background gets.
Mm-hmm.
Like right here, we'd be okay. If you want to get a nice soft background, maybe 20 feet would be good, 20 feet away from the background.
Mm-hmm.
But this is fine with an 85 millimeter lens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's depth of field. When the background's that soft, it's called a shallow depth of field,
Mm-hmm.
which means pretty much only your face and maybe a foot in front of you and a foot behind you will be in focus.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else will be soft over here and soft behind you, outside of that range. Now, if it's a deep depth of field,
Mm-hmm.
which means you're probably using a shorter focal length, like maybe 35 or
Mm-hmm.
shorter, or maybe even 28 or 17 would be kind of wide. But you set that at 5.6 or higher,
Mm-hmm.
like 5.6, 8, 11, and your face and the background will be in sharp focus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the deal with that on focal lengths.
Mm-hmm.
This is going on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to say everything then.
What about light meters?
Light meters. Okay, now here's another deal with light meters. It's one of those things that if you don't really know how to use it, it won't help. So basically, where'd mine go? Okay, well, wherever mine went. I've noticed that no one really uses light meters locally. It's because you don't really have to with digital video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so digital video, it's pretty much you're eyeballing it through the LCD screen. I don't trust the LCD screen, which is why to this day I still
Mm-hmm.
use a meter. Because again, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was all film, and we really depended on our light meter.
Mm-hmm.
So come in, just meter the scene real quick, set the aperture and shutter speed on the camera. You're good to go with whatever ISO, which for Kodak stock, it's usually around 320,
Mm-hmm.
ISO 320. And I always knew exactly what the shot will come out like.
Mm-hmm.
For digital video, I guess everybody uses their screen. Now, the reason why I don't like to do that is because you don't have consistent data coming off of those LCD screens.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I just use my meter and we consistently set it to whatever the meter says, it'll be consistent right through the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't worry about a lot of post-production adjusting,
Mm-hmm.
other than, say, gradations, grading for your final
Mm-hmm.
cut, yeah? And that's pretty much why I use a light meter, even on digital video. Again, I'm probably one of the few guys that still uses a light meter, but that's because we want to, again, try to get a more consistent
Mm-hmm.
exposure from scene to scene to scene to scene, instead of just trying to eyeball it, which is okay. I know a lot of guys that do it with great success. I'm just not one of those. I don't know how to do it, unless, of course, they're spending a lot of time in post-production fixing it. And the trick to decreasing post-production is to merely shoot it right to begin with. Yeah. I'm being as polite as I can.
What is examples of bad indies here in Hawaii?
Unfortunately, there's plenty. Unfortunately. And it's only because I don't feel that a lot of people are teaching. I don't feel that people who know what they're doing are teaching people who don't know what they're doing. And
Or people who don't know what they're doing think they know what they're doing?
oh, okay, you can't teach those. No. Once they think they know what they're doing, forget it. They're local indie. Oh, I'm sorry. What I meant to say was, once they are convinced they know what they're doing, like hand-holding every shot,
Right.
Shaking the camera as much as possible. Again, that doesn't make any damn.
Cloverfield.
It makes no damn sense to me. No, Cloverfield is cool because that's what it was supposed to be. It was
Right.
supposed to be a handheld camera
Right.
recording what happened to these people
Right.
during this event, which was a giant monster attacking New York, I think it was.
Right.
Yeah, so they had to go for that look. Even Blair Witch Project, they
Right.
had to go for that look. Blair Witch was cool because I think I saw, when I saw that movie, that they were using 16 millimeter film.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least the props or what, I don't know. But it looks like they were shooting with 16 millimeter film, and they had to do a transfer to 35. I'm not really sure how that show was shot. But if it was 16, then they were probably using really nice 185 lenses for that. Because 16 is usually 133 or 166 lenses. But it went up on the screen on 185, so they may have actually cropped, which is fine. But as far as the handheld look, Cloverfield was right on the dot because that's what it was supposed to be. Now, unless you're shooting something like Cloverfield, which locally most people don't want to shoot something like Cloverfield. They want to shoot something more smooth and beautiful. So they'll look at a movie and say, I want to shoot like this. But their skill level is just not up to this level to get those shots handheld. So you end up with a lot of really bad looking jiggly shots when they actually should be more smooth. Smoother either via Steadicam or, you know, just do it the simple way, put it on sticks. If the shot is not moving, by gum, put it on sticks, you know. Don't make the Steadicam operator stand there and then now you have to do a teleportation. Right? Okay, you have to do a teleportation scene. Now, how in the heck is the Steadicam operator going to hold the camera that steady to do a teleportation, which by the way is a crossfade, it's a simple crossfade. As we know from watching local indie, it's impossible. To do a teleportation scene, you really have to have that on sucker on sticks. Now you can track somebody coming into a room and pan, slow down, stop, let go of the camera, do your teleportation effect. You can do that, it's really simple to do. But to expect a Steadicam to come tracking in like that, stop, and hope the guy can hold the camera rock steady is unreasonable for the operator. It's better to just get, thank you, I think they found me, that's a good siren. I'm sure these wonderful sensitive mics are picking that up. Shall we wait? No, let's keep going. So anyway.
Well, they're probably going up the road because I think there's a care home up the road.
Oh, okay. Of which I'll be part of soon. So.
Not that soon.
Yeah, I'm 52. I'm not that old, but then I'm not that young anymore. Oh, good, it stopped. It's right over here. So if someone's walking into a scene, just put it on sticks, track the person by merely panning the camera, slow down, stop, let go of the camera. Don't put your hands on the camera. Don't jump up and down near the camera. The camera has to be rock steady in order for that teleportation sequence to sell. It's very simple to do. And again, local indies should try to go more on sticks. That's one of the first things we learned when I was training up in LA, which is try to put everything on sticks. Only if you have to move the camera do you use a Steadicam or jib. You know, that's, or slider these days. And you built one, no, or not?
Well, I got the dolly.
Oh.
I'm going to make.
Or dolly. We've got a very successful dolly here that we just tested. I'm so stoked with that one. Goes out 20 feet. We got 20 feet of track. Okay, so more than enough for tracking shots.
With big tubes.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I'd rather have these than the little PVC, whatever those are. I know those are lighter, but I think I like these better. These are closer to what we use actually for regular Panavision cameras. Yeah. So with that said, I'm really happy with the. Again, try to put your equipment. Try to put your camera on sticks as much as possible. Okay, if you have to move the camera, then make that decision, make the call as a director to either use the jib, Steadicam, or dolly. Okay, that's going to be totally up to the director because he's the one telling the story visually. Okay, so again, getting back to when to know what equipment to use. Again, very simple. If the scene doesn't move, put it on sticks. Now that's just a guideline. It's not absolute law. Okay, you still might want to use a Steadicam or a slider. If there's two people, they're just sitting here talking, slider would be nice. Just slowly move it back and forth. Slow, stop, move it back, you know. That'll work for two people talking. Another thing too, when you're using things like Steadicams, jibs, or sliders, or dollies, to use them to better effect, I would consider putting foreground objects purposely in the way. Not something that'll really block anything out. Yeah, tree, something. Plants. And then just move slowly in front of those things. It looks really good. So that's one of the tricks of the trade. There's many more. Won't have time to talk about them all, but that's just one of them.
Biggest problem in indies film in Hawaii? You told me this.
Yeah, well, there's a number of one. There's a number of problems. I'm not sure if I told you this one. Ego.
Right.
Did I tell you that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so ego, to think that you can handhold on an entire feature. Unless you're shooting Cloverfield. If you're shooting Cloverfield, fine. That's handheld. That's what it was meant to be. If you're shooting a romantic, very romantic scene, maybe a shaky handheld shot may be bad. You know, I'd rather get a slider on one of those. You know, two people being very romantic with each other. Get a slider. Table, flowers, two candles, wine. You know, get a slider, move it slowly, put some flowers over here, move it past the flowers.
Mm-hmm.
That lends itself from a romantic scene instead of the same scene with, you know, somebody attempting to hold a camera with a long focal length. That's another big giveaway that it's an amateur with a long focal length, or say an 85 millimeter, and you're trying to hold it. I think
Not happening.
it's not happening. Not for a romantic scene. I think maybe for a police drama, that might work. Which I've seen it work very successfully. You know, you get an 85 millimeter lens, you point it at the person, and you have a follow focus person on the side of you. Okay, the person is just making sure that you're in focus. Okay, that works. But that's what trained crews. Locally, we just don't have that level right now. Well, we do, but very few people can do it in local indies. Okay, 5.0 can do it, but we're talking trained professionals, right? So to try to increase our quality level, we have to try to stick to the basics, what we can do, which is, again, why your stuff looked so good yesterday. You stuck to the basics, and it looked really good. You're cutting, too, as well. And we won't mention any specific techniques, but your cutting techniques have improved. Grant's cutting technique has improved tenfold. Now it's like night and day. He's already mentioned that he's going to go back and recut the earlier scenes for
Minions.
Yeah, Minions. So, which is great if he wants to do that. And this is a great learning experience for him. Me personally, if I was doing learning experiences, I would do what you're doing, which is just to do shorts.
Yeah, but he's kind of like having to do it already. So, well, here we go.
Yeah, he's having to do it, and you know, he's doing what he can. He had a major disaster last Saturday.
So it still turned out okay.
Turned out okay, I must say. Turned out okay. So I think it would turn out better had that one person not pulled out of that day. Boy, that's terrible. And the thing is, if you're a volunteer, I totally get it, but don't commit to a project or say you're going to be there if you're not going to give 100% or more commitment. Because even if I'm not getting paid, I'm there.
Right.
You know, I say I'm going to be there, I'm there. Just short of a World War III, I'll be there. But that's just the way I think. And I think that's another problem locally. Not only ego, to think that you could shoot an entire picture with just holding the camera. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's ego. That's the biggest problem, ego. And I have a lot of friends that shoot that way.
Right.
And they're all watching this going, John, that son of a bitch. Well, yeah, it's true. And I'm always telling them that too, you know. You could just check your ego at the door. I'll show you how to make this really pretty. Oh, no, John, it's okay. Just make sure the exposure's right. Okay. So I just get there with my meter, and sure, the exposure looks great, but it's still very amateur looking, you know. Whereas your stuff, and don't worry about shooting your stuff, by the way, in the shade the way you did. The shadows looked so dramatic. I loved it. So shadows, this is another thing. Shadows are our friends. They make the scene look more dramatic. That's what I felt you had. You know, yesterday with that very dramatic action scene, it looked more dramatic. Just remember when you had 3 characters, try to expose all of them in the shade or all of them in the sun. You know, that's the only.
In a situation like that, it would have been easier to put everybody in the shade because I think there was more shade than light.
Yeah, there was. But, again, learning experience, that's why it was a test,
right.
You see? And we test to find out what we're short on, and that's what it was. In this case, it was basically having one person over 5 stop difference from the people in the shade. And we just metered over here, and we're about 7 stops different from where we're sitting compared to standing out in the sun. So the trick is to just get everybody in the same light, that's all, and you're fine, you're good to go.
Then you said the other one was the lowest man on the totem pole trying to dictate the show.
Here's a big problem. If you're a PA, which by the way, for all you PAs out there, PA stands for production assistant, means you're not in charge, okay? The director's actually in charge. Okay, that's kind of a misnomer. The director's in charge of capturing the action, you know, kind of. And yeah, basically he works with the actors. He gets the scene going. He makes sure that the last scene flows into this scene, which has to flow into the next scene. So it can't look like 3 different movies. It has to look like one movie with 3 scenes in it. Okay, so the director has a lot to do with that. He also takes care of the actors, make sure the performances are up to whatever energy level or down to whatever energy level that they needed for that scene. Okay, so, and he works directly with the actors. Now, under the director is the first AD. The first AD is the one that's actually in charge of the crew. As soon as the director is happy with all the takes that he got, he says, okay, I'm good with this, moving on. As soon as you hear the word moving on, the AD jumps into action and starts directing the crew to the next location or the next setup in the same location. Okay, he'll say, okay, now we need to do the reverses. I want one camera here, let's move the lights here, yada, yada, yada. Sound, we're gonna have the boom right over here in the middle. That's what the first AD does, okay? So locally, that's not how it works. There's only been one, maybe two ADs that I've seen locally that really do the job. The latest one, which is unfortunately only the second guy I've seen, is Jesus. He does terrific AD work, but that's because he's a producer, writer, director in his own right. So he understands what the AD has to do.
Right.
So when he's on the scene, as soon as he hears, okay, moving on, boom, he's in action. He's getting the next setup done. Okay, that's how you don't cause production delays.
Right.
You have the one AD that knows what they're doing. Unlike most indies, they don't have an AD. Or they have someone that's called an assistant director, and all this person does is get coffee for the director. That's baloney, okay? So what this is all the PAs on the set think that it's their picture. I'm finding that a lot of the PAs are aspiring filmmakers in their own right, which is bad to have as a PA, because again, now they think they're all in charge of the movie, and they're going to make it the way they want to make it instead of the way it was written. So the two big things that are problems on local sets are the ego problems of director, writer, producers. That think they can shoot a whole feature handheld. It looks like Cloverfield and the Blair Witch Project, yet it's a romantic movie, you know, romance. And to be able to have that kind of an ego, I still don't see, okay, look, I have the biggest ego on the island. There's no secret about that, okay, the biggest ego. But when I'm on a movie set, I take that ego, I check it at the door, because I'm not in charge. Who am I on the set? I'm nobody. What am I? I'm a camera operator. Camera operator, okay, if I understand that I'm a camera operator and that I'm nobody, I can go on the set and be more effective for the production. If I go on the set with the big ego, then I'm going to cause production delays, because I'll be arguing with the DP and the first AD and the director, which I've seen happen too many times locally. And not only just the camera operator, as a matter of fact, okay, I'm not going to mention the name of the production, but there's another production going on where they had a problem with the DP who didn't know what a DP does. And he was also the camera operator, unfortunately. And he was politely thanked for his time and released.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I know you know who it is. I may not have mentioned it yet, but that's what happened.
Okay.
Okay. But again, that's so typical on a local shoot. Now, the reason why this guy was released because the producer on that show is more on the pro level, professional level. And she knew when to cut this guy's ties with the production, because it's just causing too many production delays. And even at the level we shoot at, which is basic, we cannot have production delays. We're all volunteering. None of us are getting paid. We cannot have production delays. You don't want to add days onto the schedule, the shooting schedule, just because one guy had the ego and could not check it at the door. Now, me, with the biggest ego on the island, if I can check my ego at the door and someone else comes in and they can't do that, they're the ones that's going to cause production delays. And it's usually, again, PAs, production assistants, and camera operators, some lighting people, electricians, so-called electricians, who don't even know what a load is for whatever circuit, you know. Yeah, that's another thing. But, you know, that's electricity. I have bad things to say about that as well. I'm sorry. I'm being very polite as possible, and I'm being very nice about this. I have not pointed fingers or named names yet, although these people have upset me in the past by almost electrocuting me. And they know who they are, damn it. Which is why, I don't have it right now, but I normally carry, which is in my bag, I carry around a voltmeter with me now. And I carry it around because I don't trust when a local electrician tells me, that line's dead. I pull out my voltmeter, put it right on the line, it starts to light up and make noise. Oh, no, that line's not dead. I was almost electrocuted several times by this one guy, not going to name names, he knows who he is, who just didn't know the difference between live and dead. So this is a problem. I don't know where he learned electricity, but this is a big problem locally. If you're going to call yourself
Cracker Jack box?
Probably. But if you're going to call yourself an electrician, by gum, at least know if the line is, you know, closed or open.
Brown and crispy and hanging from the ceiling?
There you go. Which was almost me, several times, on the one shoot.
Not good.
No, not good at all. But I could ramble on more about that. But that's what this show is about. It's about rambling, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I could ramble more on that. But the big things like we've been discussing is ego and production assistants that don't know their place. And that's rampant on just about every
Right.
set I work on locally on indies for free. Now the local indies that I get paid on, that's different. They got real PAs, you know,
Mhm.
they have real pros working on their stuff. Okay, I'll mention one name, Connie Flores.
Mhm.
She's the local diva of independent film. She's the queen of independent film locally.
Mhm.
That's how she's known. You know, like Elmore. What's his name? Elmore. Gerard Elmore.
Hmm.
He's like the prince of local indies. And he's adored at HIF.
Mhm.
So is Connie on the female side,
Mhm.
and she's been presenting a lot of female issues as well. The last documentary that she hired me for was called Kumuhina. And that's another thing too. I normally work on award-winning features and documentaries.
Mhm.
I don't mean to. I just seem to get hired for those kind of jobs. And
Wonder why.
yeah, well, probably because I can check my big ego at the door. Again, you know me personally. You know me in real life. We're out hanging. Yeah, big ego. But when it's time to come work on a movie set, I have to leave the ego at the door. There's just no way to do it. There's no other way to work on a movie set if you have the big ego,
Mhm.
which is what some of these guys had on this other shoot I was talking about.
Mhm.
And the dude was let go, and he wasn't even getting paid, and he got let go.
I
Amazing.
wonder why.
Amazing to get let go on a volunteer shoot. That's really embarrassing, man. But yeah, so Kumuhina, which was the last documentary I worked on, won awards at HIF, I believe. And
still winning in.
they took the film up to Frisco, the film festivals up there, and it won more awards. The nice thing about winning awards is that you can use that for grant money, which I'm not sure which direction we're going to go,
Mhm.
either through for-profit organization, try to get corporate sponsorship,
Mhm.
or for a non-profit organization, try to get corporate sponsorship and grant money.
Mhm.
Grant money is nice, you don't have to pay it back. You know? So, and Connie is at the point where she can apply for grants and pretty much get most of them. See, so, I'm mentioning a name right now because this is in a good light.
Mhm.
She's one of our strong local indie producers.
Mhm.
Another good producer is Scotty Wong. He used to be the president of the local 665 motion picture and television industry technicians, yeah, and IATSE. And so he's really good with the business contracts and yada, yada, yada.
Mhm.
So that's another guy that I will name, Scotty Wong, and I'm very proud to be working with him on several projects
Mhm.
in the past. And hopefully we have more projects coming up in the future. He wanted me to go do the camera operating on the big canoes sailing between the
Mhm.
islands. Unfortunately, I do have motion sickness. So I cannot go on a boat without throwing up. So I couldn't take that job. And he really wanted me to get on the boat and operate the camera.
Mhm.
Wasn't going to happen. I'd be spending more time vomiting than anything. So,
You would have lost weight.
I would have lost weight. Hey, that's another thing. I got to lose weight. Okay, I'm good for the vest for this Steadicam here because I'm at the right chunkiness for it. Galen, on the other hand, is so skinny the vest won't fit on him. And because we're trying to, what we've done today on this particular piece of equipment is to correctly weight it so that we can get steady shots. And we did a test today, you know,
Mhm.
after spending, about half an hour adjusting this thing, is that we can get steady shots with it now, really nice, beautiful steady shots with it. We just did a really good test with it. The only thing I'm really still having problems with is starting smoothly and stopping smoothly.
Mhm.
But I think it's just an engineering problem, in which case we just can't do anything about it. I think this is adjusted to the point where it's going to be as good as it's going to be. And it's pretty good, you know, it's
Mhm.
pretty good. On a regular Steadicam, I can slowly start a move, go into a walk, then into a run, then back into a walk, and slowly stop the move on a close-up on a face if I needed to. It's a little tougher with this piece of equipment, but like I said, this is only $800 compared to, again, the $12,000 units I'm used to working with.
Mhm.
So again, you're paying for the quality. You're paying for the differences in engineering. The 12,000 will of course be engineered better.
Mhm.
This at $800 won't have the same engineering. Matter of fact, it takes a while to adjust because you have to use tools.
Mhm.
Whereas the bigger units I use, it's tool less. The only tool you're using is maybe one Allen wrench, and that's it. You know.
Mhm.
So that's that about that. Again, ego and PAs, the two biggest problem
Mhm.
in local indie. Which I'm glad that we're at the point where we can check our egos at the door
Mhm.
because we're more interested in getting better quality production.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's never a problem with me. I can always check my ego at the door, unless we're out not working on a production and suddenly I'm number one. Just awesome. Everything is awesome.
But
Yeah.
we had, I know that there's other productions that the guys who are doing it really just shouldn't be doing it because they've got, one, no equipment and no money. I mean, we don't have a lot of money, but these guys have no money.
Okay, so in regards to that, as soon as people ask me to do stuff like that, I normally politely as possible say no, because I know I'll be wasting my time. The reason why I'm hooking up with certain projects, like Jaman Holmes with the drop, you with, again, upgrading the production level for your productions, and you know, a few other people, is because I know you folks are going somewhere. See, the productions that I've, as polite as possible, turned down, it's because I know they're not going anywhere because of the problem you just mentioned. No money is one thing, but no equipment, and now you're expecting all the technicians to bring their stuff for free. And on top of that, you don't know how to direct, much less write. Oh, that's another thing I want to just quickly mention. I'll read some scripts that are so well written locally. Nicely written scripts. Terrific. They read well. The actors come in for a table read, and it's really terrific. Problem is, again, on production side, with the ego problems and, you know, PAs that don't know their places, that cause poor execution of the script. So yeah, you could have a good script, terrific actors. Now the execution of that script is the problem.
Right.
That's where most of the problem lies, I'm finding, because we do have talented writers locally. But the execution of the script is, okay, so ego, PAs that don't know their place, and execution of the script. I'm going to say those are the three of the biggest problems in local indie today. That's why only, I'd say, I'm going to just guess at this, but 10% of all local indie are successful, if that. That's not a good sign.
We need to change that.
Yeah.
By the way, how long have we been talking anyway?
Just for the 50.
That long?
Okay. Well,
Wow,
anyway,
that
what
was
we'll
quick.
do is when we get to 55 minutes, we'll take a break and we'll go get some stuff to drink,
Ah,
and then we'll come back.
good idea.
So we'll keep on going a little bit more. And anyway, but as far as like that, we're going to be doing 2 more projects, which we'll be talking about after this,
Right after the break.
right after the break. And I'm really glad that you came on board because it'll help a lot.
You know, thanks for all the food. Much appreciated.
But at least over the years, we've collected a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, no, really. We've got enough equipment to start with. It's not a problem. For Kel's production company, it's not a problem. There's ample equipment. We've got equipment, so now it's just a matter of training on the equipment. Part of that training is the audio. Because I think
We're looking for more people, by the way.
yeah. So if you really know how to do audio, and if you have a big ego like me, but you're able to check it at the door when you come in, we'd like to talk to you, please. Okay, audio,
Actually, anything.
anything.
Any PAs,
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh, okay. So exactly what is a PA? Maybe I should just quickly
Yes,
touch
yes.
upon that right now. A PA, if a camera operator like myself can go on set and know that I'm nobody, okay, that I'm there to operate the camera, which is to thread the, not film, I'm sorry, not film, which is there to pretty much just make sure the camera is in working order, okay, make sure that the shutter speed, aperture, ISO, all those wonderful settings are set the way the DP tells me to set them. Okay, the DP tells me to set, so that if we have multiple cameras, we're all on the same page. We all have the same settings. Yeah, if I know that I am just a camera operator, then someone even lower than me, like a PA, should understand they're really nobody, right? All they're there for are production assistants. So basically, a glorified gopher, office gopher. Go get this, go get that. Take care of this, take care of that, okay?
Move the lights, move this.
Yeah, well, grips are normally used for, okay, here's another thing. PAs are generally not qualified to move equipment. Sounds silly, but it's true. You actually have to be qualified to move equipment. That's the grip department, okay? The grip department are the go-to guys for all the gear. See, you'd be a grip, okay? As well as everything else you do, you'd also be a grip if you really wanted to. You're the guy to come to for the equipment. You know how to handle the equipment. You know how to move the equipment without breaking it. PAs don't. Okay, that's another thing too. And it's true. You know that again. What is a PA? A PA is a production assistant. Okay, that's all a PA is. Again, you go and get this. You go and get that. You go take care of this. You go take care of that. That's what a PA does. Okay, it's untrained. It's unskilled labor. What a grip does is skilled labor. Okay, we know how to work the equipment. We know how to move it without breaking it up. Right? Lights. We don't want to drop any of the big Aeroflex lights. Right? When we move it, like for Godzilla when they came down, they had no less than 3 grips moving any one light, because these are the big 10K lights. Okay, you don't want any amateur moving the lights. Okay, you drop the light, that's it. Grips, man, oh, they're wonderful. They know how. Okay, so for dolly shots, I was talking to Galen about this. Even grips, among grips, you have to pick out of that stack of people who's going to be doing the dolly. Okay, so that's why when you pick a grip or two to work dolly, they have to be more on the mellow side. You can't have an aggressive grip moving the dolly. It's just too, like this. It won't work. The camera has to start nice and slow.
Hey, Gannon, you want a job?
He's an excellent grip. But yes, but usually you'll find the more patient grips, the more mellow grips are usually the ones operating the dolly. So you get the camera operator sitting on there, who I know I'm nobody. I just sit there and I do what I'm told. And then the grip, the guy that pushes me on the dolly. And these are the guys that are very sensitive to what's going on in the scene, because they can look at the scene, understand the flow of the scene. If they got to move it faster, move it slower, and move the dolly appropriately through the scene. Okay, those are your more patient grips. They're the ones that are normally put on dolly detail. Yeah, but as far as PAs are concerned, they don't touch the equipment. They don't know how to touch the equipment, which is not what happens locally.
Right. Because we don't have enough people.
We don't have enough people. Plus, the grips are touching stuff they shouldn't be touching. In some cases, really damaging the equipment because they don't understand what it's for. That's another thing. You shouldn't have a. You shouldn't. PAs, stop touching this piece of equipment here. This is a slate. You don't know how to work it. Don't touch it. Okay. Let's leave this for the second AD or someone higher than a PA to operate. People who really give a crap about what this is for and why we have to write on it, and why we have to write on this thing accurately. Nice though, this is made out of aluminum. And I'm ready for a break.
Anyway, let's go on break right now. We'll be back in a little bit. And we'll catch you guys in a few short minutes.
At Heavy Metal Barbell, we are committed to helping you achieve your fitness goals. From the basic kettlebell, nutritional supplements, and high-end fitness machines, we are ready to supply you with all of your needs. Come in and let our knowledgeable sales staff help guide you to a better life through fitness.
Okay, back from the break, and yeah, it's been a while since I got this because I found someone to get this for me again. It's called XS Amway. Jasmine, thank you very much. It's very good. No carbs. But yeah, he might get all jittery after this because there is caffeine in it.
Yeah, generally I don't drink soda, pop, or anything like that. Anytime I get caffeine into myself, my hands start to shake.
You go 300 miles an hour?
Yeah, like that, yeah.
Oh. This thing doesn't affect me anymore.
If I start speaking even quicker than I normally do, you'll know why.
Yep, okay. Anyway, we're going to be doing, after we're done with Battle of the Minions, part 3, which is, I think, the last one.
Okay.
Or at least the last one that Grant's going to be part of. Grant said no more. He's done after this. Okay, I better not say this because it's going to give away things, but yeah. Let's just put it this way. He's going to be done with Battle of the Minions after this one.
Okay.
But I sent you a link to his story. And you immediately liked that
Oh,
story.
right. That's short. Right.
And we're not going to tell you about it. We're just going to give you what we're going to do, but we're not talking about the story because it's going to give it away.
Right.
And I'm just like, I don't want someone to shoot it before we shoot it. So
it's a really good story. It's a short.
very short.
Very short, and we're going to Well, my participation is going to be DP on that one.
DP, cinematographer,
Okay, so
lighting guy.
I'm going to try my best to give it a really good pro look,
Mhm.
which is very possible with the equipment we have.
Mhm.
I just have to determine the focal length on these cameras
Mhm.
because I don't think it's marked. Yeah, Galen, there's no marking out there that tells me if it's 85 millimeter or 100 millimeter like that, 150. No markings at all. Okay, so we just got to figure that out because we definitely want to do depth of field shots.
Mhm.
Again, I'm not going to mention the exact shots because
Mhm.
we're going to hold off on that for a while. But when the female character is doing what she does
Mhm.
with the equipment, those are depth of field shots.
Mhm.
Those are also dolly shots as well, by the way.
Mhm.
So if you don't have the slider ready by that
Mhm.
time, it won't matter.
Mhm.
We've already got a fully functional dolly
Mhm.
that'll be able to handle the kind of shots I'm thinking of based on script.
Mhm.
Oh, that's another thing too. As the cinematographer, as the director of photography, the DP, I know that I'm not in charge either.
Mhm.
Again, big ego, but I can check it at the door
Mhm.
because I'm here for the production. I'm here for your story that you wrote, and you're the director.
Mhm.
So on two bases, I can talk to you
Mhm.
of exactly how you want the shot. That's why we have to create storyboards, which we've already discussed. I don't know if we really want to talk about how we're going to do it.
No,
No, okay.
not yet.
So
It's not perfected yet.
no, it's not perfected yet, but as soon as we get it, it'll be so much easier for someone who does not really know how to articulate the shots
Mhm.
to someone like me
Mhm.
easily by just pointing and saying, "This is the shot I want."
Mhm.
Okay, no problem. We put that right there, and okay, that's part of the storyboard now.
Mhm.
So if you don't have a storyboard or shot list, it's still doable,
Mhm.
Which, that's another thing. Most times I'm finding that no one has a storyboard or shot list, and I'm supposed to come over there and work miracles. That's
But you do.
I make it work, but geez, for food, I do this for food. And the thing is, I'm one of those kind of guys you see standing on the highway, cinematographer will work for food kind of thing, hold the sign up. But that's basically what I'm doing right now,
No, but you're training the future.
Those that can be trained.
Right.
Like I said, if you already know it all,
Mhm.
here's the difference between someone who really knows what they're doing
Mhm.
and someone with what they call know-it-all.
Mhm.
You ever watch that TV show called Cheers?
Mhm.
Okay, there was a character on there who's a mailman. I forget his
Right.
name.
Cliff.
Cliff. That is a know-it-all. They will recite every kind of statistic from everything without saying anything correctly. That's a know-it-all. They think they know it all.
Yeah, he was good on Jeopardy all the way up to the last question.
But that was the real dude. Okay, that was the actor, and he is fantastic. But the character he played actually knew nothing. He would just say anything off the top of his
Right.
head and make it sound like he knew what he was talking about.
Mhm.
There was one episode I recall which was really funny. I think Shelley Long, who played
Uh-huh.
Diane, I think the character
Right.
name, was backing him up on something that he had said, which again he couldn't do. He says, "Oh yeah, black belt in karate, I can do all this, yada yada yada. Okay, just hold that board right there. I'm gonna kick it." Bam, kicked it. And then she says, "See, he knows what he's talking about," and he really didn't. When they turned around, he said to Shelley Long's character Diane, "Could you take me to the hospital? I think I just broke my foot." And then they slowly went out, and no one knew until, of course, he came back with his foot in a cast.
Mm.
But that's the difference between someone who knows what they're doing and a know-it-all.
Mhm.
Although Cliff is a very likable
Mhm.
know-it-all character. I love Cliff. He's a wonderful character.
Right.
But in real life, you encounter people like this, and they're the ones that are going to cause huge production delays on your set. Huge production delays. And if you're working for free, especially if you're working for free, you don't want those production delays. So it's easy to identify a know-it-all versus someone who knows what they're doing.
Mhm.
It's easier to identify PAs that have a problem with, understanding that they're just PAs.
Mhm.
All these things play into what I was talking about earlier, which is ego, right? Not knowing your place, PAs. What was the second one? I forgot already. I suck. I'm getting old, by the way. But yeah. So check your ego at the door,
Mhm.
and all these things. But a know-it-all is another one that's going to cause huge production delays on your production, and they'll be the ones going around telling everybody the settings on the cameras
Mhm.
when they have no business doing it. That's a DP's job.
Mhm.
Okay, so these kind of things we need to take care of. Am I talking faster yet?
Not yet. But anyway, so we're going to do that short, and the idea is to enter it into HIF.
That'll be cool if we could do that. And if we can get the focal lengths out of these cameras that I'd like to. We'll have a beautiful picture at least. Now, again, the script is nice. So it's one of those instances, the script is really well written. Now we just have to execute it to the best of our abilities, which I'm pretty confident we can do it. Because who's doing it? You're going to be directing?
I'll direct this one.
Okay, you're going to be directing. I'll be cinematographer. Galen will be our
Camera guy.
wonderful camera operator. And I mean wonderful. You should have seen the stuff he shot yesterday. Gorgeous. Yeah, so camera operator. And we should be good because we've got really good talent. So we've got the talent. We've got the production people. Do you have any idea who we could use as PAs? If you want to name them now, now's the time, man. I already know who, but they cost an arm and a leg. They're professional PAs.
I'll be calling those who I'm planning on it. But if you'd like to, just send me a PM. In fact, go send to this email right here. Come back here. No, right here. See this one right here. Email, please.
Yeah,
And
please send.
And hopefully we can get something going.
Yeah, because part of making a good production crew is you have to have solid PAs. Now, the last big multi-million-dollar picture I worked on was Godzilla, because they shot over here. And I was actually one of the movie extras / stand-in. So, oh yeah, that's another thing. I retired from the industry about 2 years ago. 2012 was my last year. So ever since then, I've just been trying to get involved in the local indies and see who might be worth my time. I hate to say it like that, but who's worth my time to work for free to help get your productions up, you know? If I can make a crack crew locally like how they did on the West Coast, I'm very interested in doing that for Hawaii because I want to see Hawaii start winning more awards, and then we can produce more pertinent things in my estimation about Hawaii. You know, Battle of the Minions is good fun. What you're going to shoot is going to be the short is going to be great fun. I'm hoping to start producing more local-oriented issue shorts and documentaries and yada yada yada. If I could use your company for that, that'd be great. That's another reason I'm interested in there. I've got my own agenda on this thing as well. So, what else? Yeah, that's pretty much it for me in that regards.
And then we're gonna do the movie.
Then next year, after doing this short that we're working on, then we should know right off the bat if we're going to be able to do the movie with the talent level we have. Yeah, and see, that's the secret. If local producers, directors, writers, technicians can understand that if you can just work on your basics, like try shooting on sticks, you'd be surprised how good the picture looks, you know? If you do have the ego problem, not much we can do about that. And again, I have the biggest ego on the island. I can check at the door every time I come in, you know? Anyone should be able to do that if you want to work in this industry. The more sense of humor you have, the easier the shoot gets. The level of comedy goes up several points whenever I'm on your crew. You know, it should be fun, especially since we're doing it for free, you know? In regards to that, one more story. It's a story about ACM again. After learning from my friend who was the former student president, she just graduated. And she explained to me that there are no production classes there. I said, well, what do you folks do? And then she mentioned, well, you know, everybody gets together, discuss films. They watch movies and then they discuss them. So basically what it is, it's a 4-year degree in film appreciation. I've never heard of that before. And good, film appreciation courses, in my opinion, are very good. Okay, that's how you learn the craft as well, you know. But you can't really learn it from the technical side. So you need to have production classes in your curriculum as well, which apparently UH does not have. The ACM does not have that, unfortunately. Production classes as in, you know, learning how to use the camera, how to set the camera, understanding why you cannot use the camera on full automatic mode, understanding how to use the camera in full manual mode, understanding how to use a light meter. What is the relationship between the light meter and the camera settings, you know? They don't have any of that. The few people that have, oh, okay, I'm going to name one more name, okay? The few people that have come out of ACM that I thought were terrific is because they had so much self-initiative to learn all of these things, you know? Learn about lights, learn about focal lengths, learn how to control your depth of field, You know, how do you record sound? How do you get clear sound? You know, like for instance, what we're doing today, right? We're getting really super clear sound thanks to this wonderful Tascam. Is it recording? Oh yes, it's recording. So all of these things, this one person is an award-winning director, writer, producer out of ACM. No thanks to ACM. She pretty much learned everything on her own. And then she handpicked her crew to produce award-winning shorts. Her name is Erin Lau. Okay, she's a fantastic director. I've never worked with her. Well, no, I'm sorry. I was on one of Keone's shoot one time, and she was, I can't remember. She might have been the AD on that one. I can't remember. Or was Tony the AD? Tony was probably the AD, but she was obviously in charge of something because everybody was jumping whenever she spoke, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. And so she was really very knowledgeable about behind-the-scenes stuff. And again, her name again is Erin Lau, and she's won awards for I can't remember the darn titles. I see it on Facebook every so often because we're friends on Facebook, so I see her awards pop up every so often. But yeah, she's figured it out. She had to handpick her crew, from what I understand from other people that have worked with her. She's very picky about who works on her crew. So again, it's this ego thing I was talking about. She's not interested in that. So she picks people that come in that can do the job. And again, talking about Jesus one more time, probably one of the best ADs locally in local indie today. He understands how everything works. Again, when the director says, I'm good, moving on, he jumps into action. He knows what the next setup is already going to be. Do you have any ADs?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
We gotta find one.
We got to find an AD, bro.
Maybe. Jesus, you wanna work on Soul Blade?
Oh!
Please.
Okay, this is my dream team. First of all, let's understand who in this. Oh, are we calling ourselves Wasabi?
Grant was joking, but it may become the real thing.
Grant, Cal, and myself were talking one night. Oh, actually, I think Galen and Tony was also in the conversation, and it was really funny because he just jokingly said we're Wasabi Productions, right? And then out of nowhere, while we're chatting, Galen comes up with the logo, puts it up, and goes, "Wow, that's a cool logo." So now I'm thinking, maybe we should consider being Wasabi Productions, you know?
Although I don't like wasabi, but...
No, but I love wasabi.
Yeah.
I accidentally ate a gob of it in 2 projection booths. One was at the Academy of Arts Theater, and one was in Theater Number 2 in Waikiki, which unfortunately is a Ross's department store now, unfortunately. Yeah. But I like the name Wasabi. I like the logo Galen came up with like that. I think that looked good on a t-shirt. And this is my dream team. If we are going to be called Wasabi Productions, of course it's Kel, Tony, Galen, Grant, myself. We'd be the core people. So we'd be like department heads. And then if we could hook up with Jesus and his people. Oh, that's another thing. Okay, good. So if you look at Jesus and his crew, his PAs know what a PA is. They know what a PA does, and they do it. And then you get people like Rue. She's the makeup artist, and she's good. I've worked, she looks very familiar. I may have worked with her in other productions, regular paying gigs too, I'm pretty sure. But she's good at audio and everything else. So she could actually be a grip. So in addition to makeup, you have a good grip on your hands right there, She knows what to do with the equipment, how to operate it. So again, if you look at Jesus and his crew, you combine them with the core group of us, we'd make one heck of a production company. So the next step would be to just make sure we're all on the same page, that we've got to get a lot more basic with our shooting, because we're just not up at the level where we can do all these complex shots yet. But when we do the basic, and I mean basic, camera angles, you see how beautiful it looks. Your stuff looked great yesterday. And again, thanks to Galen doing the master shots on sticks, instead of trying to handhold it, those master shots, in my opinion, came out really beautiful. Now, another thing I really, really have to point out in regards to sticks, don't be fooled. Okay, if your stuff looks like local indie productions, you're probably going in the wrong direction. Okay, if it doesn't look like something that Connie Flores shot, or Cindy Iodice, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. If it's Italian, it's Iodice, I believe. If it doesn't look like her stuff, if it doesn't look like Erin Lau's stuff, if it doesn't look like, again, any of the award-winning shorts, documentaries, and features that Connie does, then you're probably heading in the wrong direction. Matter of fact, you're probably following what typical local indies do. Now I say that, and it sounds like I'm bashing local indie, when in actuality, I really want to bring local indie production up. That's what we were talking about a month ago. And again, in the span of 1 month, the amount of improvement I've seen is just mind-boggling. You know, it's like night and day. You know, look at Grant's editing. You're right, night and day, amazing. And it was just changing a few techniques the way he did stuff. Real simple. Even your stuff with certain techniques that I talked about with you. Boy, your cuts came out real pretty yesterday. So, and I'm not going to tell you guys what it is just yet. Maybe in a future
episode,
discussion. But for now, just understand a lot of this stuff that I'm teaching is important for basic production. We're not going to do anything advanced. We're just not at that level yet. But our basic production looks really good. Okay, so we just have to continue on with that. We can't do anything for Battle of the Minions right now because it's already in production. To change it right now mid-course would really screw Grant up. So he's just got to keep shooting it the way he's shooting it. But on the short that we're going to be doing right after that, that's where we're going to start changing it. And then if that looks good, then we'll discuss what the feature should look like, which will be outrageous if we can get a 4K camera. And that's your department. Please talk about the 4K camera.
You know, 4K is becoming affordable. Very, very much affordable. I guess it started back in the day with the red camera, which was created by Jim Gennard of Oakley. And then you have other cameras, like you were telling me the Ariflex has a 4K. But, oh yeah, the tent's flapping. But anyway, recently, then before that, Canon came out with one called the C300, which was a little bit cheaper than buying the red, which everyone thought, great, now it's a little bit cheaper, but it's still $25,000 worth of body. I'm not going to buy one. No. And it's too much to rent it. Then Panasonic and this other company called Blackmagic came out. Panasonic has a GH4 4K camera. It uses either Panasonic or Nikon glass, but you can also use an adapter, put the EF lenses on it. But if you put the EF lens on it, you can't use the controls. So it's like, well, count that out. Then I saw the Blackmagic. Yeah. It's a little bit more than the Panasonic, but I think because it uses the EF lenses and everything is controllable, and touchscreen, I think that's the way to go. And it was cheap to rent. So yeah, we're looking for a corporate sponsorship.
So the Blackmagic then.
I think it's going to be
Okay.
Blackmagic.
Now again, what I'm doing right now is I'm checking my ego at the door because that's not my preferred camera, but that's not up to me.
Right.
I don't get to make that call.
Right.
So I check my ego at the door. I say, yes, I'll work with the Blackmagic.
Yeah.
And it's a 4K camera.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, you can put EF lenses on it then?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Then we can do that. And
Yeah.
so are you planning on buying one and then renting one when we need?
I think we'll just rent one the first time.
Okay, sure.
And then you tell me what you think. And then I can borrow all the lenses from...
Right. From your friend, right,
Yeah.
right. Okay. So I'm sure I'm going to have positive things to say. Matter of fact, we can probably do it with the Blackmagic if we can get the good glass for it. Yeah. So, and again, it's a matter of understanding focal length, which I do, and knowing where and when to use each focal length, which is simple, you know. Yeah.
We had an interesting discussion yesterday because we borrowed mics from somebody. And I guess he was helping this other guy. And when he went to take the mics to bring it so we could use it, the guy he was working with got all upset that he's helping someone else. And then he says, oh, like, come get all your stuff. I'm like, that's not too bright. the thing is, gear costs money. And the thing is, if you can help other people, it works for everybody. If you want to be exclusive, well, you better have money. And now that one guy, now he's got no equipment, so he can't do anything. Whoops.
Yeah, this is an island. You don't want to burn bridges on an island.
Yeah.
That's not too smart.
And then I think if the word gets out who it was,
Yeah.
then people may not want to work with the guy.
That's no good. And again, speaking about burning bridges, I already know, again, just to reiterate, not here to bash local indie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm merely stating fact
Mm-hmm.
of what goes on local indies. I've worked on enough of these as a volunteer
Mm-hmm.
to be able to state factually
Mm-hmm.
what happens. I'm not bashing local
Mhm.
indies. I'm just merely stating fact. This is how it works.
Right.
And I'm going to change it.
Right.
And I'm glad you're going in the same direction so we can change it together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, again,
all of us are changing.
well, again, the core group, right?
Right.
You, right? Tony, Galen,
Right.
Anthony,
Correct.
myself. Wasabi Productions. And if we can convince Jesus to assist us with his group,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why after the first feature, Soul Blade, that we shouldn't be seeking sponsorship,
Mm-hmm.
or at least considering being a nonprofit organization and going after that grant money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is something that can be decided either while we're in production or before production, up to you,
Mm-hmm.
because you're actually in charge of all that stuff. I'm just a technical consultant. See, again, I know my place. You see, I'm checking my ego at the door. I come in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm your technical consultant. So you make the call on that. I can't make that call.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not my place to make that call.
I gotta do that with Grant.
Yeah, Grant understands a lot of this stuff too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's understanding better
Mm-hmm.
now than he did a month ago, say that.
Right.
And just 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
his editing, wow, again, night and day. Blew his mind, blew my mind that somebody can learn that fast. Galen, I've never been worried about. He shoots really good to begin with. Plus, he's a camera operator. He understands his place in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you just sit at your camera, understand you're nobody.
Mm-hmm.
The whole production goes forward quickly.
Mhm.
You can break for lunch faster. You can go home faster. You know,
The thing is, it's not that you're nobody. It's
Yeah.
because
you know your place.
Actually-
You know your place.
right, and then
Yeah.
it's like, then people want to hire you.
Yeah, yeah. Which is, okay, that's another thing. Okay, so in the 80s, when I started, people wanted to hire me
Mm-hmm.
because I knew my place. And I would just keep on telling myself, I'm nobody, I'm nobody, I'm nobody. Boom, I'm getting hired all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The second feature I was on, I was hired by one of the same producers that did the first feature I worked on.
Mm-hmm.
He remembered me and how easy it was to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
So we went ahead and, or he went ahead and hired me for his second feature.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of first camera assistant, I was first camera. I was a camera on his feature.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kept on going from there. And it's because, again, I just kept telling myself, I'm nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in charge, which takes all the pressure off of my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
The DP comes around, tells me, you know, this is the shot.
Right.
These are the settings. Thank you, John. Okay,
Mhm.
and then you get hired after that on just about everything.
Mhm.
So I think Galen understands that. And again, it's not that you're nobody. I tell myself that because, again, because of the ego problem,
Mm-hmm.
I put it at the door, then I keep telling myself I'm nobody, just to
Mhm.
make sure I keep myself in check.
Mm-hmm.
Galen doesn't have to do that. He can just come onto a set, he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He sits down, he operates the camera, he does what you say,
Mm-hmm.
which is what a camera operator is there for. Hello.
Mhm.
So anyway, okay, I can't mention the name of these other projects, but DPs have been let go for this very same problem. And again, I'm not knocking local indie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm merely stating fact.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that this other project has a professional producer on it that doesn't stand for this,
Mhm.
that person lost their volunteer position. You know, it's bad enough to get fired from a paid position, but to get fired from a volunteer position, boy, that's bad, man. That is bad. So anyway, the core group, us,
Okay.
and if we could convince Jesus and his people to work on Soul Blade, the feature
Mhm.
next year, for free, I'm afraid,
Yeah.
then we can probably start getting monies together for,
Mhm.
so that we can all get paid.
Mhm.
You know, and it's not going to be top dollar. You know, we'll be working for cut rate, but a little money is better than nothing. So,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to justify the fact that we're not going to our regular jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you make $15 an hour at your regular job and you're working for us for $100 per day, that's not going to cut it, right?
Right.
You have to be able to compensate yourself to equal your whatever your pay is.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, people working in IT, will never be able to match your damn salary. So,
Oops.
Yeah.
Oh well.
yeah, okay. I don't want to say what companies I work for locally, but you start at 32 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and it goes up to as high as 65.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for Y2K project offices, I worked in 98, 99
Mm-hmm.
for the Y2K virus.
Mm-hmm.
That we knew was not going to be a problem after we patched it. So big whoop. But yeah, so again, the core group, Jesus, his people, Soul Blade should be amazing
Mm-hmm.
because we've got a good script. And again, we've got a good script. We have to have the production execution at the same level of the
Mhm.
script. Here's a script, here's production execution, that's bad.
Mhm.
We can't have that. We have to get the production execution here or higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get it higher. Okay, so that's my gripe. And again, not bashing local indies, just stating a fact based on all of the local indie sets I've worked on,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the last 2 years.
And I guess part of it, I guess when we do all of this, like you said, it's something to move forward. If you're not moving forward, don't do it.
Exactly.
Anyway, we've been like collecting a whole bunch of stuff. Fortunately, I can make everything.
Okay, that's the really good thing about you. You have money, you can buy stuff, and what you really don't want to buy, you simply make it.
Oh, like my big tripod?
Oh, that thing! I remember that thing. Right. Huge tripod. That'll be good for high angle shots we're talking about. Yeah, I know, jib too. I've never seen a jib with wheels built into it. This one has wheels built into it, so you can easily transport it. What else? Special modifications done to this fly cam rig, just to make it work. All done by Kel. And the only thing I'm doing is I'm strapping it on and making sure that it does what we hope it will do. It's very smooth now, so anytime you need to move the camera dynamically, okay, that's another thing. If you need to move the camera dynamically, that's what this rig is for. If you just need to move the camera, that's what the slider and dolly for.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if the shot doesn't move, put it on sticks.
Mm-hmm.
If the shot needs to move, use the dolly. If the shot needs to move dynamically, which is not in a straight line but around things like that, use a Steadicam.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to get some height, say from ground to like high angle, use the jib.
Mm-hmm.
We can do a lot with this jib in its current configuration. We don't have a full remote head for it, but I have a feeling you're going to build one after the link I sent you, because that's the place everybody, all the indies up in West Coast, go to build their own remote heads, and they build beautiful ones that can support bigger cameras like the XL2 that no one uses anymore because it's not high def, which is a shame. It was, in my opinion, the finest standard def camera I've ever come across, you know, and it could use EF lenses. But but the jib in its current configuration is very usable. What else?
I did buy the ankle weight so you can balance it out.
Oh, that's right. So
we haven't tried it yet. So.
Yeah, fine balance on jibs. Fine balance. You want to get little weights like that. I have Velcro weights like that too, but they're bigger. I'm not sure. But you know what? It's a 30-foot jib, so you need the bigger ones. This one should be fine for this one. The ankle weights, and that's for your fine balance adjustment. Fine balance is, wow. Excuse me, but I just broke my own rule. I just broke my own rule. Okay, because we're wearing labs, you shouldn't do what I just did. But I'm really hot. I suck.
We've been talking for a long time, though.
Yeah, a bit. So we're both sitting here just sweating.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you're wearing labs, try not to beat your chest. Drives the sound guy nuts.
Don't be King Kong.
No. Try not to adjust your clothing too much, like I've been doing, because I'm just sweating like a pig.
Yep.
A little warm.
So hopefully, like you said, that's even if we Hawaii Indies, no one else follows. Main thing, we move forward.
Yes.
And I think if we can move forward, other people are going to want to.
The thing is,
go forward.
If we do go forward, which I'm hoping we do, especially after Soul Blade, if other indies want to figure out what they need to do to raise their production. If I see that they're, like you, passionate about going that direction, I may want to assist other people as well. But I only want to spend time doing that with people who are sincerely interested in moving forward. If I don't see the passion in their eyes, you know, which I can tell right off the bat just by looking at somebody, if they're all mouth, you know, if they're all mouth or if it's in their heart, you know. So I think we're good to go with Wasabi Production. I know it was a joke, but I like the name. Wasabi Production.
Grant, I think, yeah, you started something. Your fault.
And what killed it, or what drove it, was the logo that came up. It just popped up in the chat window while we were all talking. Hey, look at that. What a cool logo. Too funny.
That's how it works, though, sometimes. So how did you like that? Good?
I'm going to say it's good, although it contains stuff that I don't normally drink. High fructose corn syrup, did you say? What was it? Oh, sucrose. Just as bad, but doesn't matter. Just as long as you don't drink this crap every day, you know. My favorite water is still ice water. My favorite drink is still ice water. And what else? Okay, bourbon. I'm a big bourbon fan. Lately, I've been going with bottles of Kentucky bourbon. Evan Williams Kentucky bourbon. Really good stuff. So enough about what I drink.
Yep. Anyway, but I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover. What time is it now, anyway?
Well, whatever time it is, we've been talking for quite a bit. I guess this is the best time to end the show.
Yep.
Again, just to reiterate, the problems that I see are like mainly ego problems, PAs not knowing their place, and a few other things. Those have to be dealt with if you want your production to go up, which is why I'm hoping to hook up with Jesus and his people, and then for Soul Blade anyway, and then the next step would be to have the ability to check your ego at the door. And again, to reiterate or recap, I'm not bashing local indies. I'm just stating fact of what goes on and how easy it is to turn it around, as we found out just by working amongst us, how quick it can be turned around. The fact that, again, Grant's editing got, you know, better tenfold in 1 week blows my mind. And the fact that when I asked for a modification on the fly cam, that you can do it like that. And now we've got this thing like working like a champ today. I'm very pleased. I guess the only gripe I really have about this unit is the vest. It's so uncomfortable. But there's nothing you can do about it. You know, it's just the way it's designed. But that's why if you need the camera to move, you got, that's when we put it on this Steadicam. Okay, so dynamic movements with this. I'm hoping to not be in this rig for too long. Like if you know for sure you're going to be using it, I'll put it on. We'll do the shot. As soon as you're good with the shot, I'm going to take it off. Whereas with a regular Steadicam rig, I can wear the rig all day long. But that's because, again, $12,000 plus worth of engineering, the operator's going to be comfortable. That's how they designed it. This was designed at $800 per unit, so it's not going to be as comfortable, okay? And I'm fine with that, so long as everyone understands that when I get into the rig, we got to go. We shoot, and then when we're done, when the director's happy, I take the rig off. And again, thanks for having the ability to quickly modify this rig to get it to work. And at the price, you can't go wrong. My gosh, $800?
But the question is, can most Hawaii Indies people?
No. And it's only because their background does not allow them the luxury of having the ability to fabricate what they need. You can fabricate. There's one other guy whom you know personally as well that can also fabricate. Lives up in Kalihi, and 2 huge boulders went through his house. I was supposed to go over that night. Man, I'm glad I didn't. But yeah, he's another one that can fabricate whatever they need. This jib alone, the jib work on this is really nice, particularly since you can connect wires that run in the body of the jib. That's really fantastic. On the on the 12,000 model a $12,000 model that I have. It's a 30-footer, but the wires run on the outside. But it's a wiring trunk, you know, so it's kind of waterproof. And it's designed to run on the outside of the jib, and you just bungee cord it to the to the arm. But yeah. So you and maybe Keone can fabricate stuff. You two guys are probably the best guys to go for customization, fabrication. Everyone else, they buy things, which is nice. Nothing wrong with buying your equipment. But the amount of money you and Keone are able to save by just building it yourself is mind-boggling. No one's at this level that I know of. You know, and the few people that claim to be can't build anything like this, can't modify anything like that. So with that said, in answer to your question, no, there's very few people that I know that can actually do what you do.
Have you mount homemade aluminum mount?
Yeah, the darn monitor on this thing alone, the mount for it, you fabricated out of aluminum, which is so pretty. It's so adjustable. I love it. And custom hood for the monitor as well, which works really well. I know because I've been running in front of you while you've been chasing me with a katana, and it works really good.
That was the other thing about yesterday's shoot. We couldn't really get the stunt side right because that blade was sharp. So I didn't want to.
It was?
Yeah. So I didn't. That's why if you look at it, it doesn't really look like good stunt work because I just didn't want to be that close to hit.
I don't blame you. You didn't have a fake blade? I mean, a dull blade? Because at that distance, you can't tell.
Yeah, but I didn't. I don't have one that's like that.
Oh, okay.
I have it coming. It's coming. I'm working on it.
Terrific. But anyway, we've been talking a long time, so.
Well, you saw my long sword that I made.
Yeah, how do you pull that out of its case?
Think of.
Or do you just throw it up like that, drop the case, and grab the sword and start going for it? You know?
No, it's like just I gotta think like Clyde.
What does Clyde do?
Clyde.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Every which way but loose.
Oh, okay.
The orangutan.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So pull back, and then.
Yeah, that'll work. I can think of several creative ways to get that going.
Or I've done it where you make the start here, and then it's already out, and then you do the you cut to another one.
That works. The magic of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Oh, that works really well.
Anyway, we got a lot of toys. Just got to keep refining my homemade switcher.
Oh, right, the little video switcher.
Yeah.
We actually might have our own video village as well. So. Yep. That'll be nice.
Working on it.
Yeah. If we don't, we don't. You know, but that'll be advantageous for the director. You know, just sit in the shade. You know, like this wonderful tent thing here. Sit in the shade. You've got the. Oh, right. These things work well as. Okay, good. This will work too. Yes.
Just got to make the bottom.
Okay.
But I got to move the camera closer.
Yeah, this will work just fine. Almost feels like a jetpack.
Almost.
Oh, I even like the padding. I don't know what you call these things.
Shoulder rig?
I don't know. I specialize in Steadicam, so I don't actually use one of these. Funny, yeah, all these years I've specialized in Steadicam and jib, but I never actually used one of these. I've seen guys use these things though. I wonder how steady are the pictures off of this thing? Or is that what this is for? I don't even know what the hell this is for. I've seen guys use it on pictures that I've worked on. Yeah, for Steadicam, they bring the camera over to me, I put it on my rig, and then I go. And for this, they have another guy that does it, you know. So the Steadicam and jib stuff is usually me, and then some other guy operates this with on sticks. Don't know what this is, but it sure feels good. It's massaging my back very well right now, in fact.
So that's the tube is the cheap aluminum tube you find at Home Depot.
Nice.
The main bar was. Oh yeah, I shouldn't say this. It came off a wheelie bar of a car that crashed once.
Oh.
The other side wheelie bar was all mangled, and then.
I guess so, yeah.
but that was the one that was still straight.
Nice,
Because
nice.
they brought that car in one time for us to fix. And then, yeah.
Pretty. Anyway,
I guess being from the race car industry did help.
my only experience with torches are plasma torches. Yeah, that I use. Yeah, exactly. And I use that for fabrication for like my hobby, which is G-scale model railroading.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you use a plasma torch for. You use it to build bridges and everything. It's really cool.
Mm.
And I learned that from a buddy of mine who lives out in Wahio outside. That's what he used. So I bought one and I started playing with it. Well, son of a gun. Make my own bridges out of metal.
Anyway, I think we're out of stuff to ramble about.
I could ramble more, but I'm ready to stop. Getting tired.
Maybe the next one we'll do our one about that we had kind of talked about. Our conspiracy theories of the world.
Oh, that would be okay. Next episode will be conspiracy theories.
Everyone has one.
Yeah, and I've been reading up a lot about them. So, yeah, next episode. This one's done, I think.
They landed that plane. They landed that.
The Malaysian flight.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
just leave it there. I just believe that they landed the plane.
Yeah, makes sense. We'll see. We'll see.
Then again, too, I mean, it could have crashed and there was no wreckage, but
Yeah, isn't that something though? An entire airliner going down the ocean, and you can't find a trace of it. Unreal.
you can find a United Airlines cargo door.
A little door in the big ocean.
They found that. Well, whatever. Anyway, that's the end of this. Thank you very much for being here. Thanks for helping with us with everything.
Yes, yes. My pleasure. I'm looking forward to more production days with you folks, which I haven't had too many, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to more production days with you folks.
We learned a little bit more about that today.
Yeah, good, good. So your audio on the next one should be better, assuming you have the mics.
Probably not.
We're using my mics today, so.
Right. Grant's production. I don't know if he's going to be able to find good labs.
Don't
That's
know.
the hard part.
Don't know. But if I'm available, by gum, I'll bring my equipment. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Okay, till next time. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Are we done?
We're done.
Okay, get him out of here. No.